Welcome to the Face of the Update Design Competition Finals. In this final leg, we are taking a look at all those fortunate ones that made it through the prejudging phase. Over 50 cars have been entered into said competition, which is all about the Roadster revival. Cars built between 1990 and 2010 that really capture that spirit of the open-top convertible Roadster and sports car, light sports car, that was typically from Italy or the UK. Our judges for today are Chris, that is Mr. Chips, our community manager, Isaac, one of our programmers, and myself, Kirob, who are going to give their opinions on the various builds. Of course, it is called Face of the Update for a reason. This car will be replacing our branding. And that means you're going to see it all over Steam. So, high stakes, let's get into it.
This car's era and theme seem accurate. You can see the soft top there, but I think the very small windows look a bit odd, so maybe a pillarless design would have been better. The rear is coherent. I like the cutout underneath the number plate for the handles, and the exhaust tips look cool. I think the fender vents are a bit inaccurate and probably don't match the rest of the styling.
Overall a solid entry, but this is more of a luxury Grand Tourer convertible than a sports car. The side moldings give an added character to the body, but the interior is plain and has some odd choices. The dark grey of the car really hides a lot of the work that went into it, unfortunately.
The first thing I notice here is this rather striking combination of red and yellow. Certainly pops in your eye, and looks like it does come across as a fast car. Yeah, it does have really nice proportions on the side. The rear also, oh, very nice. The rear actually is quite beautifully designed, I think. Everything's so nicely framed on the rear. It's great. Interior is very solid as well. Very red. Red and black. Here you go. Overall, a really good one.
The bright red and black stripe going around the entire car grabs your attention, as does the bright red soft top, but the front of the car is a bit unusual. The rear of this entry is good and generally harmonious with the rest of the design, as is the interior, although the color choice is a bit loud even by the standards of the 1990s.
Instantly, the first thing I see is the wheels and how thin they are. I think that is very aftermarket. At least the colour of the rims matches the fender vent, though I think the fender vent is quite extreme. The back has a massive diffuser on it, which I don't think is very 90s. I think the front and back are inconsistent in that the front seems angry and the rear seems happy. Also, the side indicators are round and the front indicators have sharp corners, which is another point lost for consistency.
This is an instantly striking car. It has a very interesting front design. The elements are all coming together and it's looking really aggressive and I think in a good way. Nicely proportioned there, but it's this sloping down bonnet and the lights being lower than usual makes for a really interesting and a little bit of an odd look. I don't quite think the sides are living up to that, but let's take a look at the back. Yeah, also it's interesting, overdone in the back. I don't know if that quite fits, but the interior is also rather neat. Now that is a different approach to the to this design category. I quite like it. I see where it's coming from. It's not what I expected. That's definitely not what I expected, but seems like it's very well executed on. I'm completely custom built, and yeah, I love the rear of it. It's just looks very compact and very strong in composition, and great interior here as well, keeping it clean. And I think this is very much describing this build. It's like it's pure, seems pure. It's very much not what I expected, but it's pure.
This entry grabs you immediately with its wild, minimalist approach. The design is very well executed, with expert use of 3D fixtures, and has an excellent interior design. Unfortunately, this entry just doesn't really fit with the design brief, and there are a couple of areas, bumpers and headlights especially, that feel like an afterthought.
My eye is instantly drawn to that soft top cover. Although I do like the pins keeping it down, the surface is obviously a bit inconsistent. Lots of weirdness going on in the back there. The exhaust tips sticking out the side look a bit cockeyed too, I think. The headlights from the side profile are a bit tubular too. I enjoy the racing stripe on the bonnet, but I notice it doesn't continue to the rear of the car. I think the theme of this car is accurate, but the implementation requires some work.
The first impression is an interesting one. I really kind of love it, and I try to figure out what exactly is the combination of cars that I'm thinking of here. But it's one that is working in an odd way. The front does work, although it does look a little smushed here at the corners down there. But interesting profile. It does look sporty, maybe even a little early in the years compared to maybe a little earlier than the 90s even, but very nicely designed overall. And the interior, oh, okay, right-hand drive.
Don't be fooled by this entry's understated design, it's very well executed overall. The proportions are right overall, even if it is a bit plain on the sides and through the rear. The very careful cutout of the door shut lines in the side fixtures is excellent, but a bit more depth on the sides and in the rear would have been nice. 90s cars tend to lack a lot of visual depth compared to modern cars, but in this entry where it exists, it is done with care and attention.
First thing that strikes me is that it is both clean and at the same time feels empty in the design language. There are not many strong lines in here, but it does look very fitting regardless. It's like hitting the nail on the head for what it's supposed to be, but I don't think it is quite as intricate as some of the others that we have seen here.
I like the very rounded windows, that's quite 90s, early 2000s. And the chrome roll hoops match with the rear bumper's lower chrome bar, although it's interesting to see that chrome bar isn't actually continued on the side skirts or the front bumper either. The shape of the tail lights flow well into the number plate area. The curved ends of the tail lights is consistent with the theming. I think the car is coherent and consistent other than the body modding line that doesn't match between the front bumper and the rear bumper, and the vent installed on the fenders, which appears to be redundant.
The front and rear of this entry are fantastic, with the pop-up headlights being a highlight among all of them. However, this entry is let down by incoherent detailing on the sides, where nothing seems to line up with anything else. The interior is well crafted, but the choice of a mismatched green leather color is odd to say the least.
Ooh, okay. First impression, this is more than a roadster. This is a sports car. So I think from this view alone, it's kind of failing to hit the mark, but the design is so good. It looks very fast and very fun to drive. And oh yes, yeah, it really works. That's a good looking car. The back the back, does it actually fit to the front as well as I would have hoped? I don't think it quite does. So I believe this is a really good looking car, but at the same time it feels way more like a sports convertible than it does as it looks too expensive. Maybe an Americanized muscle car version of the of the Challenge could be it.
This car is instantly recognizable as American muscle. Those side pipe exhausts are striking. The rims are massive and maybe the car is a bit low. Those fender vents are also extremely large. I think the addition of the vents in the rear bumper is probably unnecessary. I think the integrated door handles helps with a sleeker look. I feel like perhaps the front bumper is a bit tuner-esque, considering the muscle car vibes of the rest of the car. The headlights are also quite angry considering the tail lights, but overall it definitely looks like a big power muscle car.
This design is so utterly bizarre, from the frog eye headlights to its odd proportions to the huge, almost truck-like tonneau cover behind the passenger compartment. It's just so weird. And yet, it works somehow. All of the details are harmonious from front to back, and it makes excellent use of body molding and 3D fixtures to achieve the desired look, and the interior is classic for a driver-focused sports car.
The side profile design is very consistent. I love the body line crossing from the front fender all the way to below the rear tail light. The little flare on the bottom of the rear wheel arch is also very nice. I think the tail lights match the side profile perfectly, although I'm not sure about the indent where the number plate is. The rear spoiler is ridiculous, but actually matches the flare of the rear wheels quite well. The headlights are definitely unique, and the hood scoop is an interesting choice. I think overall this car is an absolute oddity, but would have a cult following in real life for sure.
Oh wow, okay. Now that is a looker. I think that is definitely a looker. It does look more like a like high-end sports car, supercar convertible. Quite a small one, but this is the car that people would have had as posters on their wall. Oh, I love that back and the back side view. It just looks so sleek. Really nicely done. Oh, I love it. I think I have found something in here that I absolutely love. Yeah. And the interior, very nicely done. Also, having the Frenian colors in there as a nice touch. This car looks fun, fast, and maybe a little bit too expensive. But, yeah, I love it.
This entry is everything you would expect a sports car to be. From the bright orange paint to the well-proportioned front end, this car grabs your attention and holds it. The design work is very tidy, although the rear has some unusual choices. The interior of this car is very special, with creative use of many 3D fixtures to achieve a premium, bespoke look.
Big congratulations to ZP for a fantastic looking car and build, and you are the face of the update. We're going to see a lot more of this car and I can't wait. But also, what you need to consider is that there is more of this coming. We have the official design competition going on with 12 categories, and I'm going to link that down below. Think of this video, but just like with many more competitors, even higher quality, and amazing celebrity judges. How about that? Well, that is the official design competition that is coming to you. You can still submit your cars when this video is going up. The deadline for that is the 5th of October. Alright, that is it for us today. I hope you enjoyed and see you guys next time.